Hey, second grade. Welcome to Module 8, Lesson 10. Today, we are going to be partitioning circles and rectangles. And when you partition them, it's how you split them up into pieces. And because we're going to be making fractions, the pieces have to be the same amount. They have to be equal. And so we're going to partition them into halves, which would be 2 equal pieces, thirds, which would be 3 equal pieces, and fourths, which would be 4 equal pieces. Good. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need your Lesson 10 template. Now, many of us are not printing these things. Don't worry. You're going to be able to make this in a flash. I'm going to pretend that I didn't have it already, and I'm just going to use a blank piece of paper. So everybody needs to be following along with me. And you're going to need something small that you can use to be able to trace around a circle and a rectangle. Let me show you what I found. I'm finding the best place to find little small circles and small rectangles is in the kitchen. I went to my kitchen and I found this little kid's cup here. And then I went to my pantry and I found this little jar of tomato paste here. Both of these, if I put them on my paper, I can trace around and have a circle. So if I choose to use my tomato paste, just hold it still. Maybe there's my circle, okay? My rectangle, that took a little bit more thinking. I was looking through my kitchen drawers and then I finally went to the pantry and I found this small little box here, and look at that, okay? That is gonna give me a nice rectangle. So I think I will choose the smallest side here, or face, and I'm going to trace around it to make my rectangles. Now, there you have it. You didn't have to print the template. If you do have the template, I still want you to go zip to the kitchen, pause, see if you can find a little something that you can draw a small circle and a little something that you'll be able to trace to draw a rectangle. Pause me and come back when you have 2 things. Okay, guys, so you're back. So if you need to draw more rectangles and circles today, you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and start, though, using the template. And I'm going to put that on top. And again, you are making a template if you don't have this template printed. Okay. Get it up underneath there. All right. So yesterday, or not yesterday, it would have been the last time we met, we were talking about halves. And today we're going to start off talking about thirds. So when something is divided into thirds, it's going to have 3 equal shares. And there's a couple of different ways you can divide a rectangle into thirds. One way is you have to, what I call eyeball it. You have to kind of look at this and say, okay, make a mark about right there and make a mark about right there. And there's 3 as close to equal as I can get pieces. If you don't like the way you partitioned, you can always use your eraser and try to make it better so that the 3 pieces look as close to the same size as you can, because they're supposed to be equal. So then we would have 1/3 here, 1/3 here, and 1/3 here. So if I wanted to, I could show 1/3 by just coloring in one of the thirds here, just like this. Okay, now there's more than one way to show thirds. Another way would be, what if instead of doing the 2 vertical lines, what if we had 2 horizontal lines? For example, what if I drew thirds like this? You see that? I still have 3 equal pieces. And if I wanted to color in 1/3 over here, it wouldn't matter which one I colored in. Maybe I'll color in the bottom one. That would be 1/3 right there. So both of these are totally fine ways of showing thirds on a rectangle, because it's 1 out of 3 equal pieces if you were showing 1/3. So even though they look different, even though one is long and skinny and one is short and kind of wide, they're both 1/3 of the whole shape. And they both have two parts that are unshaded. Okay, so you go ahead and make sure you're doing this alongside me, okay? Keep up with me. If you need to pause at any time, go ahead and pause. Okay, now what I'm thinking is I want to compare what thirds looks like to halves. So in this rectangle just below, I'm going to go ahead and partition this one into halves. So you're going to draw the line down the middle like that. So I think I will write under here thirds, THIRDS, and I'm going to write halves down here, HALVES. It's got the L you don't really hear when you say halves. Okay, so now if I want to show 1/2, I would color in one of the two parts. Now look at what we can notice here from our picture. Can we tell that 1/2 is bigger than 1/3? Yeah, we can tell that from these two pictures. You can tell that if you were cutting the same rectangle into two pieces, the pieces are going to be a little bigger than if you cut that same rectangle into three pieces, because it has to there has to be three pieces, so the pieces have to be a little bit smaller. So I want you to point and count with me starting up here. If we said this piece here, we'd say 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So if we have the whole thing, we have 3/3. So we have 1/3. If we have this piece and another piece, we have 2/3. And if we have this piece and this piece and this piece, we have 3/3. But you know what else we have? We have the whole thing. So 3/3 is equal or is the same amount as 1/2. And it works over here too, because we have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So if we have all three pieces, we have 3/3. We also have the whole thing. It works on halves too. So we have 1/2. And now over here, this is another 1/2. But if we have both halves, so 1/2, 2 halves, now we have the whole thing. So 2 halves is the same as 1/2. 3/3 is equal to 1/2. Okay, now what I'm thinking is I would like to talk about circles. So let's come down here to the circles. Now, I think last time we already folded and colored and labeled 1/2, okay? So let's try that here. Let's take this circle here, and you have to, what I like to do on a circle is I like to try to put a point right there in the center, in the middle. And then when I draw my line to partition it into halves, I have to go through that point. Doesn't really matter where I start on the circle and the other side of the circle as long as my straight line is going through that point. So I could even have it be, oop, that's not going to be straight at all. Sorry, and I used a pen. Pretend that little messy mark isn't there. All right, so now I have halves, right, of a circle. And if I want to show 1/2 of the circle, and I'm going to choose to color in this half, and hopefully it'll cover up my mistake. This is what 1/2 of a circle looks like. And if I have this part too, I have 2 halves, which would be the whole, just like up here. But I want to teach you how to partition a circle into thirds. That's a little trickier, but you can do it. Put your center point in there. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to draw from the center point, you're going to go straight up like that. Sort of like a 12 o'clock. when you think of a clock. Now, this is where you have to kind of eyeball a little bit. If you're thinking of like a clock, you can't really be here. You got to be about right here, like a 4 o'clock. And then you need to have like over here, like kind of about the same place, about an 8 o'clock. Like that. And then you're going to draw your line. So pause me if you need to. And it kind of looks like this. So that's a great way to show thirds of a circle. So I'm going to write thirds under here. Okay, so if I want to show 1/3, I just color in one of these pieces. So I'm just going to color in just one of this circle. Okay, can you tell, since my two circles here are the same size, can you tell which piece is bigger? 1/2 is larger, isn't it? You get more if you get 1/2 of a circle than if you get 1/3 of the same circle, right? So 1/2 is larger than 1/3, and it's really, I think it's because this is cut in more pieces. This is cut into 3 pieces, and this is only cut into 2. Okay, now I want to talk about fourths. So this is where, even if you have the template, you don't have enough circles. So this is where you would need to draw yourself some circles and some rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 second here, and I'm going to draw myself a couple more circles. I'm going to have 2 circles, and I'm going to draw myself a couple of rectangles, or you can use the rectangles from the template if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and, because I like to draw. Okay. Ta-da! So, if you want to partition your circle into 4 equal parts, the one way to do that, I don't want to say the best way because there's many ways, is to draw a line from top to bottom straight down like that. And remember, I always like to do that center point. And then it kind of looks like a plus sign, really. And now you have 4 equal pieces. It's kind of starting to remind me of food, like a pie or a pizza or something. And so we would do that. So we would count these fourths: 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So let's go ahead and shade in 1/4. And it doesn't matter which piece, just shade in one of them. And I'm going to write next to it 1/4, F-O-U-R-T-H. Now, over here on this circle, I'm also going to partition it into fourths, but I'm going to eat more than 1/4. Okay, I was really hungry this day, and I ate a lot of this pizza. So I ate 3/4 of the pizza. So I'm going to write that here, that I had 3/4. And can you guess what that looks like? If you guess that I ate 3 of those pieces, you're exactly right. So let's say I ate 1, 2, 3. So I ate 3/4 of the pizza this time. Okay. Now, a rectangle can also be divided into fourths. In fact, I just realized I need a 3rd rectangle here. So pause me and draw a 3rd rectangle if you need to, so that you'll have 3 of them. I'm going to have you we're going to do 3 different ways to show fourths. Okay. One way to partition and show fourths is to divide it down the middle first, and then to cut each half in half, like this. That's pretty good. That looks like fourths, doesn't it? That's 4 equal pieces. So fourths of a rectangle could go like this, and we would just color in one of them. if you wanted to show 1/4. Another way, remember that long skinny way from before? What if we cut it in half like this and then cut each half in half like this? My coloring's getting messier and messier, guys. Okay, is that 1/4? You betcha. It looks different. This is still 1 out of 4 equal pieces, and this is 1 out of 4 equal pieces. The same rectangle, just the pieces look different, but they look all the same as the ones in the same rectangle because they're equal pieces. So 1/4 of this rectangle could look like this, and and I have one more way. What if we do like that plus sign way like we did here? Can you think of how to do that? What if we did one vertical line through the middle and then one horizontal line like this? And I just dropped my red crayon, so I'm going to switch to purple. And then what if we colored in one of these? It's still 1/4. So what I've just showed you is that this same rectangle, this is 3 different ways to partition it into fourths. And here, this really, for fourths, for a circle, I'm thinking this really is the best way without some kind of sophisticated tool to do fourths of partitioning a circle. So today, for your problem set, you're going to do, now again, if you aren't printing on a piece of paper, here's your circle and here's your rectangle, just trace your shapes and then partition them. You are going to, first you're going to answer, is this showing halves or thirds? So you're going to need to write right here and tell me whether you're showing halves or thirds. And then these are saying draw one more line to partition each shape into fourths. So they're already cut into halves. So they want you to partition these into fourths. These they want you to partition into thirds. And guess what? You probably can go back to using, remember when we did this one here and this one here? These are like your notes for how to do this into thirds. And then these are into fourths. And they're going to tell you how many fourths you're supposed to shade. And then finally, this is sort of your challenge page. And so you're going to be shading and labeling your fractions there. So, all right, guys. Good luck today. Have fun. Make it colorful. And I will see you tomorrow.